It's your boy Exodus here. We are back after a long hiatus, I would say. No, I'm just kidding. We just had issues with just editing software and stuff like that on our computer. We had to get the appropriate funds so that we could get a better computer so the editing can be done properly. And yeah, so sorry for the long hiatus, but today's video we'll be talking about Understeer and Oversteer and the pros and cons of each, really. But in the end, I'll tell you a cool little trick if you didn't know already what you can do with Oversteer. Alright, let's kick into that intro. Bam, we're back. All right, so Oversteer and Understeer, right? So we're gonna break it down with Understeer first, right? So the understeering usually happens with front wheel drive vehicles. It could also happen to rear wheel. It's very unbiased. Sorry, very unbiased. So what happens is if you're going into a corner, right? You're going a little bit too fast and you turn, but the road, you turn too fast, right? And the tire at that point cannot kind of react to that decision you made, that direction that you made, because you're going way too fast into a corner. So the vehicle continues to go forward because the wheels lock up in the front and you just crash and burn. Or it could happen because, there's snow, rain, all that other stuff that can be on the road that could cause you to understeer. It happens also with the rear view vehicles. It just doesn't matter. It's like if you go into a corner way too hot, you're going to cause yourself to get into a understeer situation. Easiest way to fix that is to slowly take your foot off the throttle just by a little bit. Just like, just smidge. Take a smidge off. Don't take it fully off, because if you cut power from the vehicle, at that point you're letting the vehicle go in limbo and it'll just go wherever it needs to go. And that's when sometimes you'll spin out of control, or worse, do 360s around the highway. You don't want that. Really bad. So again, ease off the throttle a little bit. Bam, try to get control back of the vehicle. Fix it. Alright, so that's understeer. So understeering sometimes can be scary, but as long as you know how to react to it and recover, quite easy actually. Alright. Next. Bam, we are back. So, oversteer. Now, this is the most common that people that are car enthusiasts and like driving and making their vehicle dance a little bit, make a little slide its butt to the side. Oversteering is when also you're going into a corner fast, and in the middle of the corner you take your foot off the gas, making the rear of the vehicle light, right? It'll be the same thing as if it was a rear-wheel drive or a forward-wheel drive vehicle, or front-wheel drive, excuse me. Same thing, you take your foot off the gas, especially in a rear-view vehicle, it'll have no power in the rear, so the rear will lift up and it'll continue going the direction that you were originally going, even though you're pointing to the right. So the accent will go right, and it'll just keep going until either you spin out of control or you keep going to the point where you're 180 or you're hitting something, let's say one of those barriers. So that happens, right? You could also be going to a corner too fast and the rear end slide from under you, depending on traction, rain, snow, all that stuff. Because if your front wheel has traction but your rear doesn't, that's how you oversteer. Now, easiest way to fix that is to, one, we'll not go into turns that fast, but is to press on the throttle just a little bit. Just slight more throttle, counter steer. So if you're driving and you're turning it right and your ass end is going left, you want to slightly turn your wheel to the left. If you overcorrect that oversteer, you will end up having the ass end go to the opposite end. It'll swing. It'll go from, oh no, you're shifting that way, you oversteer, now it goes this way, and now you're still going in a direction you don't want to go. So small, minute corrections. So do a slight correction to the direction of the slide or the direction of the oversteer should straighten out the vehicle. While you're doing that, while you're correcting that understeer when it comes to situations like that, you will give it a little bit of gas just to continue leaving the tires spinning, because if it catches traction midway, you're just going to go like to the direction that you don't want to go still. So you're going to give it a little bit of gas, keep the wheels broken, keep it with no traction. Can't really do that with front wheel drive vehicle, but with a rear wheel drive vehicle, keep traction broken still. Once you start correcting, once the ass end starts coming back into alignment with the front, that's when you very slightly take just a little bit off the throttle to let the wheel slow down just a little bit to catch traction. And once it catches its traction, bam, it's solid, you got it, you'll feel it. The car will literally kind of like shake and lock into place. It's like almost like a very aggressive movement of the vehicle locking in place, having its traction, and then from then on you just accelerate normally and drive out of the turn. So it can happen if you're going too fast in a corner, it can happen if you take your foot off the accelerator, but people that are real professionals do something a little bit different. So the cool thing about oversteering, right? If you are good at doing it in a rear-wheel drive vehicle and you want to get an oversteer, because it's a lot easier to control an oversteer than an understeer, because an understeer, you're losing traction in the front, right? That's what helps you turn. So if you get an understeer, you're kind of like, oh shit, and you want to lose enough power in that to gain traction again. But oversteer, a lot easier to correct. But people are like doing it on purpose. And that's the cool thing. So as I explained to you before, an oversteer, right? This is the little special thing I said I'll tell you at the end. Oversteer. You're going in a corner. You turn the direction that you want to go in that corner. As you're getting close to the apex of the turn. The apex or the, whatever you want to call it. Once you get the apex of the turn, or right before it, you will give it more gas while turning that direction, forcing your tires to break loose. And since your vehicle's weight is shifting because you're turning the opposite direction, the weight of your vehicle will go to the direction that you want it to. So as it's sliding to the left, as you give it gas hard, your ass end starts sliding. Now, as a small correction, if you want to continue riding that turn while still having broken traction, you'll counter steer slightly and hold it there and keep so the vehicle stays kind of like in alignment with itself, because that is the goal. You really want to keep it aligned with itself, because once it's off alignment, like once the rear end is here and the front is still facing that way, like we're talking about tires, not the body of the vehicle, of course. So imagine your tires are here, you're like this, right? You have a slight turn, which will keep the vehicle from going way too much that way. Because as long as the tire's facing this way, the front is basically keeping up with the rear. It'd be easy to show you like a diagram like this. You know what? Scrap that diagram. This video right here, right? I'm borrowing it from this YouTuber just so you can understand a little bit. See what he's doing right there. Clean, right? Very clean. Very clean. So he is doing a slight adjustment to keep it from going to oversteer completely out of his control, but also maintaining it. Now when he's about to cut back, he will, once he has his wheels aligned again, once he's at the direction he wants to, as you're getting to the point right here, as he's about to get, to the direction he wants to go, he will actually start turning his tires. So it'll go from kind of trying to keep it from oversteering. Once he slowly moves his wheel to get the alignment, once it's aligned, he'll take his foot slightly off the throttle, which will let the vehicle lock in place in its traction, and he'll go the direction he wants. It's drifting, power sliding, all depends what you want to call it. Drifting most of the time happens with, at least in my opinion, drifting happens with front-wheel drive vehicles, right? Because at that point, for you to cause the drift, you're taking your foot off the accelerator, turning in that direction. Or you can do a Scandinavian flip, I believe what it's called, is when you, whip it, whip it the opposite direction you want to go, the direction you want to go, and the rear end will slide from underneath you, right? So drifting. Rear-wheel drive vehicles, I like to say it's a power slide, because you are actually forcefully breaking the traction because you want to cause that slide or that drift around a corner. Or if you're stationary and you just want to bang a hard right drifting, turn your tire to the direction you want to go. You don't want a slight turn if you're stationary. You want a little bit of a harder one. Hit the gas and the vehicle will turn. That's for a hard, right turn. If you're trying to go, pull up a little bit because you're waiting to pass a stop sign or something, but you're trying to go right, you give a little bit of gas forward, turn it immediately, hit the gas hard to break the tires loose. It'll swing left because you turn the wheel right, so the rear end is going to swing left. Your counter steer, you'll fix it, point in the direction you want to go, take your foot off slightly off the throttle. Once it locks in, you take off. Simple. That really comes when you get more experienced in driving or more experienced with your vehicle. I would show you examples of me doing it, but question mark. I don't have any videos, but I do it all the time. It took a few times of me doing it for me to really master it, but I've already had the concept of it since I was very young. So again, understeer. Yes, the best thing to do with that is to try not to get an understeer. If you do the steps, then I'll be safe. Simple as that. Or if you want to purposefully do it, just purposefully do it and masterfully control the vehicle and manipulate it the way you need it to. Simple as that. It is frowned upon though, just letting you guys know. Oversteering or power sliding, drifting. I would not advise doing it purposefully in front of the cops or anywhere where you might suspect a cop might be around. It's I'd practice it in the track. By track I mean an open track, so you're not going to hit a wall and destroy your vehicle, or just do it in one of those. They have drift tracks also, which have tires on the side and stuff like that. And they'll actually have professionals that'll teach you. So either or, just stay safe. This is your little TED Talk when it comes to oversteer and understeer. Sorry again, guys, for being so absent. But we're definitely back. English is not my language right now. But we are definitely back. We're going to have more content. You'll see more of me, or not more. You will see Ricky, because if he doesn't, I'm going to beat his ass. And we have one more content creator coming to us. He is one of our mechs. He's in our company. Amazing guy. His name is Cole. He's going to start making some videos, some smaller videos about fixing vehicles and, working on them, showing them how it works out. And it won't just be, Mopar, GM, Ford. It'll be any vehicle like Hondas, Toyotas. Like he will go in depth with that. And since he is a certified mechanic, he'll definitely give you a little bit better tips than me. And maybe, you know, if he checks out one of my videos and was like, hey, Exodus fucked up, he'll correct me so I don't look like a dumbass. Alright guys, thanks again for watching this video. Sorry again for the hiatus. Deuce. See you guys next week.